Ready on the set? Let's try this again.
I'm Jenna Gage, and this is Life Take 2. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel where I share my escape from trad wife life, spill a little Mormon tea, and help you figure out if maybe you're stuck in a patriarchy prison of your own. Thank you so much for watching. I know that there's a lot of great stuff on YouTube, and I really appreciate that you've taken a moment to pause here on my video. I've been on YouTube since October now, and it's kind of crazy how that when I first came over here from TikTok, I felt so alone. It honestly gave me like first week of school vibes, when like you don't know your teacher and there's a bunch of new kids on the playground and you just feel kind of left out. And I'm a shy introvert, so for me, that's always an unpleasant experience. But I feel like I'm starting to get to know you guys, and I'm really enjoying seeing repeat comments and learning who some of my subscribers are. YouTube's really starting to feel like my home, and I appreciate you guys so much for being here with me. We have a world to change. I don't know if I've mentioned this 5 million times, but I am a 50-year-old grandma. Sometimes I look at the younger generations and they are the only reason why I still have hope in humanity. They are smart, savvy people with a lot of information at their fingertips. And I see them doing so many things right. Now, I have 7 kids with his, mine, and ours. I guess we don't have an ours. Oh, that's so depressing. From ages 14 to 27. So our kids are like in the throes of this. They are the younger generation. And thanks to this whole hoo-ha rebellion, the new wave feminist movement, the girls, they are doing relationships very, very, very different than we did way back in the day. They are boundaried. There tends to be more expectation of reciprocity and partnership in relationships. They're blurring the lines between the pink and the blue. And in general, they're demanding happiness and autonomy, a level of connection that I didn't know we could demand when I got married in 1995. Here's a little example.
One of my hottest takes is that true love and soulmates, the one is all sexist propaganda. Fairy tales and movies function as tools that condition women to eagerly disrupt their lives and center men and center romance and view domesticity as like romantic destiny.
Gen X, Gen Alpha, you guys are just so great. And you make me feel like we could have a good future with boundaried relationships, with expectations of partnerships and connection that people in my generation just didn't even know that we could expect. Unfortunately, these kids are inheriting a world that is still inherently sexist. Today, I want to run down 6 sexist American traditions that are still keeping women stuck. Now, these are in no particular order. It's not like number 1 is the most. These are just some things that you may not realize are really sexist. First up, the abortion discussion, the way that everything is placed on women, and the way that the fight is against women. When it takes 2 to tango, and every abortion has its own complex situation, but there is often some coercion, some predatory behavior, sometimes just a deadbeat dad on the other side that she knows is not going to be there to support. There are unexpected pregnancies that happen. And again, it takes 2. But because that child grows in our body, we're the ones that assume the brunt of everything. And the fact that the entire abortion discussion focuses entirely on the women, and that pastors aren't in churches every Sunday, and that the government is saying, you men need to stop getting these women pregnant because you are causing abortions, is kind of a big problem. Super sexist. Instead of forced births, let's put the blame where it belongs. On the men who are causing the pregnancies to begin with. So I have an idea to fix this and get rid of this very sexist culture that we have. And it's really simple. It's a 3-step plan. Number 1 is mandatory DNA samples. If you're a man and you can produce a sample, then everybody has to give one to the National Genetic Library. Number 2, mandatory paternity test for every birth. Baby's born, paternity test, compare it against that database. Number 3, if you happen to be the daddy of that child, 50% of that maternity expense comes out of your check right there. And mandatory child support until that kid turns 18. I'll tell you what, if we just implemented this, men not only would no longer oppose the woman's right to choose, But I literally think that they would be like, bring back Roe versus Wade, like overnight. They'd be pushing for women's bodily autonomy. Next up, number 2, paying for dates. Now, I was dating for a while, and this seems like an amazing little perk of being a woman. Like, I never have to pay for anything, but it actually grooms young women from an early age for financial dependency. I know I talk about all of the teenagers that I have in my family. We have 7 kids between age 14 and 27, plus a daughter-in-law and a grandbaby. And the way that we handle it is we just have discussions with our kids, our boys and our girls. If you're going on a date, you should be Dutch. If it's your birthday or something, maybe your girlfriend can like take you out or you can take her out. But Brody's going out to a movie Friday night with his girlfriend. They both pay. She should grow up and have a job. He should grow up and have a job. This is really a holdover from a time when women didn't have jobs and were property. And it's kind of gross. Number 3, 50-50 divorces. And I put this one in here because all data shows that men actually do better after they get married and have children, and women struggle financially for the rest of their lives once they get married and start having children. So the 50-50 divorce is not fair. My husband left my marriage with a career, with money in the bank, with skills that he could take out in the world and do whatever. I left my marriage with full custody of the kids, with no college degree, no income, no nothing, no home, no property, nothing. If you're new to me, I was sleeping in my car within 10 months with a little GoFundMe where friends would help me buy gas and food. So if women make less and spend more time child-rearing, according to all data, then the alimony should be equal to the length of the marriage. And the woman should keep the home and the kids like they do in so many other cultures around the world. Also, our whole entire divorce system is set up on every woman just finding another man to replace the husband. So for me, I was awarded alimony for 6 years, which he only paid 1 month of. That's why I was sleeping in my car. But even after 6 years, it's like, we were married for 24 years. I sacrificed my college education and everything, and I'm going to be 24 years behind in the career field. And I only get 6 years of alimony? How is that fair? Alimony should equal the length of the marriage. Number 4, age gaps. This, again, comes from a time when men were fully supporting women. Women were viewed as property on one end of the spectrum, pets on the other end of the spectrum. When women have less life experience and they're considerably younger, they become automatically more subservient, more dependent, and that relationship dynamic is very problematic. By the way, I am a year older than my partner, so the age gap works in my favor. It seems like whenever we engage in this topic of conversation, the argument always comes up that girls mature faster than boys. And that is true up to a certain point, but they should both be mature before they get married. And by the time you're 25, you're pretty much both emotionally, physically, intellectually mature. If you're not, you shouldn't be getting married to begin with. Number 5, gender-specific childhoods. It's weird that we still raise humans to only be half of a person instead of a whole. My childhood was very, very, very pink. I was in the kitchen. I was changing baby diapers. I was doing my hair. I was going to slumber parties. Meanwhile, my brothers are at scout camp and like little business training camps and learning all kinds of leadership skills and real life skills that translate into being able to provide for themselves. This is outrageously sexist, and it's also incredibly problematic because a girl who's raised just to do her nails and look cute and make a panini and mix up a salad is not going to be able to go out into the world and provide for herself. She's going to have to center men, and she will be a dependent. She'll be a pet for the rest of her life. Again, using my own life as an example, I raised my son to cook and clean and go to the grocery store and care for his skin and fold laundry and stuff just as much as I raised my daughters. I am here as a parent to duplicate myself and to turn out fully functional, well-rounded adults. There is no pink and blue. Last, but by no means the least significant, is last name changes. Again, women have always been viewed as property, and I think that it is a crime that we have to give up our identities when we get married. There are nations all over the world where that doesn't happen. But here in America, it's just kind of the status quo. with the divorce rate being 50%, and then second divorces being like 65%, women can go through multiple names in their lives. And now with President Trump demanding your birth name for like that travel driver's license and passports and voting and things like that, it's absolutely ridiculous. I've personally had 3 names in my life. And then if I took Kevin's name too, that could have been number 4. And what if something happens to Kevin, or what if something happens to me and Kevin's relationship? I could have 5 or 6 different identities in one lifetime. Absolutely sexist. We need to stop this. So after I got divorced, I didn't take my maiden name because I had a very problematic childhood and a strained relationship with my parents. And that name was the name of my dad's adopted father, his stepdad, who'd been really abusive towards him. So I didn't want his name to have anything to do with my life. So I took my dad's birth name, which was super meaningful to him. That's what Jenny Gage is. I'm named after my granddad, who I never met because he passed away before I was ever born. When Kevin and I started discussing blending our lives, I told him I didn't want to change my last name. And I asked him if he would take my last name. And he said, my dad would be devastated. And I said, my dad would be devastated. So my name is my name. Granted, we don't have kids together, so we don't have to figure out who takes what. But that too, I don't know. If I'm giving birth, that baby should be born with my name, not his. I'll be hanging out in the comments to see if you guys have anything that you think should be on this list.